Thank you all so much. I'm not sure how many introductions we have to do today. You know, it is such an honor to follow you, Scott, and I truly look forward to working with you for the next year, as I said earlier. As I said this morning, I'm excited to share with Scott and the rest of the board and all that we have accomplished this past year. This will be my 5th year on the NAA Board of Directors, and we have come a long way in that time. Before I go about to tell you what I hope to accomplish in the remainder of my time on the board, I'd like to share a bit of my personal story to give you a better picture of who I am. I was born in rural western Tennessee, about an hour and a half outside of Memphis. I was raised in a very conservative home where we made our living as truck patch farmers. My family are rural people with strong work ethics. When I was 18 years old, my father sold essentially everything he owned, and he did it at auction. It was my first real experience behind the scenes of an auction, and I was fortunate because the individual who sold our land and our home and all but a few household furnishings and the clothes on our back was none other than the late, great Jasper Jones. Along with my parents and 5 of my 10 siblings, yes, you heard me, we loaded what was left of our belongings and boarded a plane to the new world of Bolivia, South America. Dad felt a calling to be there to minister to the people, so we moved and we farmed in South America for 2 years. I came back to the same area where I'd been raised 2 years later, having met the love of my life, a fellow Tennessean, and learned to speak Spanish. A year and a half later, 2 days after Ruth Ann and I got engaged, I boarded a plane and went to auction school. There I met some of my friends that are still here today. 4 months after that, we were married and began our life together. Kind of like the Alan Jackson song, we were living on love because there was nothing else to live on. I consider my story living proof of the positive impact this industry can have and this association can have on a life. Not only have I learned the trade through my involvement with the NAA, TAA, and auction school, I'm grateful for the personal influences and mentoring and partnerships of people like Rick and Susan Henson, who gave me my start fresh out of auction school. Ed and Barb Durnall, and the Trans-On Asset Advisors team, who I've had the pleasure of working with for over 12 years now. My friend Christy King, and of course, a man who needs no introduction, Tom Satterley. Thank you. I learned from them that the auction industry is a calling, much like my father's move to Bolivia was. We help people through difficult times in their lives, sometimes when they are at their lowest point. We give people opportunities by converting their assets to cash. Being a part of this profession has provided so much for my family and me. We've been able to travel the world and see places and do things we never dreamed possible those 18 plus years ago. We've been hosted by people like Joff and Tracy Van Reenen in South Africa. I know you're watching. We miss you. We have friends all over the country, too many to name, but because of things like CAI, I've made lifelong friends like Joff and Joseph Mast and Peter Garris and Camille Booker, to name just a few. Together, business partners and friendships like this have allowed me to be a part of some very special things, and I'm deeply honored. Our common denominator, though, is NAA. We all love this organization and realize that the most important thing we can do for the auction industry is continue to make it stronger. I think we've taken steps in the last couple of years to do exactly that. By introducing the industry to children and their parents, we should benefit now and way into the future. As our outgoing chairman said yesterday, you have to plant the seed sometimes, but it's better to plant a sapling, and I believe we've done that if you want to get shade from a tree. By promoting National Auctioneers Week and getting behind the case in South Dakota versus Wayfair, we are leading the auction industry in ways we never have before, not just for the NAA members, but for the entire auction industry. The NAA has the power to unify the industry. It is the only organization that is in a position to do so. And its future, my friends, is bright. All you have to do is look at our youth and we see that. Let me show you my own youth, my kids. Would you please stand? Lila, our oldest, wants to be a part of the auction industry when she graduates. My younger son and daughter, Peyton and Katie, they like the idea as well. Wyatt says he doesn't want to be a part of the auction profession right now, but he looks forward to serving us in other ways. Proud of you, kids. I look at them and I look at young folks like Shelby Schumann and Cotton Booker and Gracie Corso and so many others that we see around here this week, and I know that our future is very bright. They may or may not decide to follow a career in our industry, but they will always know and love its roots. It's an exciting time to be at the NAA, and now it's time to really talk about what we're doing. In the last 10 years, I've seen the NAA take steps to make sure that the organization will remain financially sound well into the future. Once we were assured of that, we moved on to some exciting new initiatives for the industry, and now we need to tell the world, and we need to make sure that our membership all knows what we are doing. While we will remain open to promising new initiatives, I believe we can do a better job of communicating what we have done and are doing so that our efforts and initiatives are not in vain. Communication is going to be key. So it is my pledge to you that I am ready to help communicate our calling. I'm ready to help communicate the good the NAA is doing for the industry and for our sellers and clients, but I can't do it without you. I said it this morning. We need your help. We need you to continue to share your stories, your successes on social media, all media, whether social or otherwise. And we need it, obviously, to be positive about the auction profession. Yesterday, Scott said that volunteers are the heart of the NAA. He's absolutely right. We have about 165 people who have engaged as volunteers, but we need more. We have challenged ourselves to double that number, and now I call on you, whether you're brand new to the organization or a past president, to volunteer, help us in some way, shape, form, or fashion. We need you to help us communicate what NAA is doing and how we impact the auction industry. We know there are a lot of naysayers out there, and that's okay, but honestly, let's look at this carefully. NAA is the only national organization that is in a position to do this. The NAA is an inclusive organization for all auction professionals. We welcome everyone. And that is critical as we move forward. So please take time to go to the website and complete a volunteer form because we can't do this alone. Thank you again for giving me this opportunity and to be a part of the leadership team. I'm proud and I'm humbled to accept this position. And I look forward to the next year when I can step onto the stage and tell you about some of the successes we've had. Because of you, it will happen. I know it. I can feel it. Thank you.